And I am very happy to share with you that from this year, we have lifted the moratorium on opening new institutions, which was in place since last 4 years. So now from this year, we are going to request various societies, institutions to come forward and start new institutions. So that's what we have done. And that was a big announcement which we made yesterday. Apart from that, we are taking multiple initiatives to ensure that technical education evolves multidimensional, multidisciplinary, and from that perspective, many of you might be aware that AICT also has innovation cell, which is called as MOE's innovation cell in AICT. And through MOE's innovation cell, we are doing large number of activities. We are working, we are hand-holding more than 7,500 institutions. We have established institutional innovation councils in these 7,500 plus institutions. And I'm very happy to share with you that in last 3 years, more than 1.2 lakh initiatives related to innovation, entrepreneurship, startup related activities have been done through this innovation cell. As AICT, we are giving huge emphasis on internships. And I will request you all actually to look at our internship initiative, visit our internship portal. And till date, we have posted more than 26 lakh internship opportunities from different ministries, private organizations. We have already onboarded about 50,000 plus private organizations which can provide internships to students. So again, a very phenomenal initiative which we have taken, because as you all are aware that we have to focus on employability. And there cannot be a better way on skilling students, making them employable, other than giving internships, making them actually do hands-on work and not just focus on theoretical aspects. Again, one of the big initiatives which we have announced is far more liberalization for existing institutions so that they can increase their intake. We have done land reforms or suggested so that it is easy for our institutions to comply with the requirements. And more importantly, from last 2 years, many of you will be aware that we are actually getting rid of the physical inspections which we used to do by going to the institutions, and you know the problems associated with that. And we have made the entire process transparent. And now everything will happen online. So from that perspective, we have actually closed down our 8 regional centers across the country which were there, which were in charge of giving approvals, coordinating with institutions, because now what we believe is that everything can be done online in a very, very transparent manner. Apart from that, we are ensuring that in small cases where we have to do inspection, the selection of the committee is randomized without any biases, so that the transparency could be maintained. We are coming up with light and tight kind of a regulatory system. And our approach towards regulation or towards approvals is going to be that if we are going to believe you, if you have submitted documents which are in par with our requirement, more or less, there will be approval by default. And we are going to actually do inspections in about 5 to 10% institutions only, so that we can actually get into that ease of doing business. Because that is the philosophy which we are following internally. We are discussing a lot internally that when we are talking about ease of doing business, we are looking at each and every stakeholder, student as a stakeholder, parents as a stakeholder, faculty member as a stakeholder, institution as a stakeholder. And when we are looking at each of these stakeholders, we are asking ourselves a question that how we can make their lives better, how we can improve ease of doing business for them. So there are a lot of such initiatives which we are undertaking. I think I was given just 7 minutes. I have already taken that time. So I will stop here right now. I will allow others to talk. And then during question and answer sessions, we can elaborate on some of the topics which I have raised and I've shared with you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much indeed. We would like to hear from Mr. Aditya Malkani, his experience how in the Asia Pacific region, what the contours of interaction between the universities or the higher education institutions and the various regulatory bodies.
Well, let me begin by saying, as the ACU, we are very grateful to have this opportunity to be among all of you honorable vice chancellors once again. Special thanks to Honorable President of AIU, Professor Suranjan Das, Secretary General, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, co-panelists, and fellow colleagues in the higher education ecosystem. It really gives us great pleasure to be here. We've had a very long and collaborative association with the Association of Indian Universities that goes back nearly 100 years now. So we have the unique distinction of being the world's first and oldest international university network. We were founded in the year 1913, and we are therefore 110 years old this year in 2023. So 12 years older than the AIU. But we consider ourselves to be counterparts in many, many ways, particularly in an Indian context. We share a lot of members with the AIU. We have a huge focus on India as part of our wider work. We're a network of over 500 member universities located in 50 plus Commonwealth countries. But the focus on India is so massive that nearly 1/3 of our membership is made up of Indian universities. And these are a good mix of very old and established public institutions, central institutions, state institutions, but also some of the very dynamic and younger private institutions, many of whom are represented in the room here today. Talking a little more about our relationship with India, we have a governing council, which is like our board, which comprises of 23 vice chancellors from across the Commonwealth. And at the moment, we have 2 vice chancellors from India that are part of the governing council. One of them is Professor Sandeep Sancheti, who I haven't had a chance to meet today, but I know is in the room. Thank you, Dr. Sancheti, for all your stewardship and guidance. And also, the other council member from India is Professor Shalini Bharat from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, who I don't think is here with us at this conference today. We also have regional committees for different parts of the Commonwealth, and we are delighted to say that we have 2 of our regional committee members from Asia, Professor Balvinder Shukla from Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, as well as Professor Rajkumar from O.P. Jindal Global University here. And the other regional committee member from India is Lieutenant General Venkatesh from the Manipal Academy for Higher Education. So we're very grateful to our regional committees across the Commonwealth and particularly in this context, to our regional committee members from India for helping us with their ideas, with their support, and guiding the work of the ACU in this part of the world. Fundamentally speaking, our strength is in our membership. We would not exist without our members, and frankly, none of our work would be possible without the cooperation and support of our members. So we are here largely to convene the sector, to organize pertinent events, to help influence policy at a government level, to offer grants and fellowships, but all with the support of the university. So I'm just going to take a few minutes. I know we have to respect the time levied, and therefore I'm just going to take a few minutes to share some examples of the sorts of events and the sorts of initiatives we have conducted in India in recent years, and also some that are coming up in the near future. But before going there, I'm just going to say that for the benefit of ACU member institutions, we have a wide-ranging and vibrant grants and fellowships program. We offer nearly £750,000 worth of small grants and fellowships, which are open to staff and students from across the ACU membership. A lot of Indian universities apply for our grants and fellowships and have been awarded these grants and fellowships. And these are grants and fellowships that range from supporting gender parity in higher education institutions, to supporting projects in climate resilience, to providing support for universities that want to build up early career researcher training programs, and a range of others. So for our members in the room, you will likely be familiar with some of these grants, but for the non-members, we have a new grant being opened for application virtually every month. And as I said, these are some of the areas, but there are more, also supporting work in research and so on. So we try and do our bit by supporting the development of students, as well as early career academics, as well as researchers, with the help of our grants and fellowships. We also run a number of networks. So we have a strong focus through our networks on climate resilience, on peace and reconciliation, on higher education and the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And these networks are open to staff as well as students at our member universities to join. So any staff or student at any of our 500 odd member universities across the Commonwealth can apply to be a part of one of these networks if this area of work is in sync with their focus. And each of these networks are convened, are led by steering committees made up of academics from our member institutions. So we have lots and lots of Indian academics that are represented in these networks. And we also have a number of these networks that have involvement of Indian education leaders as members of the steering committee. We also have two professional communities, one in supporting research and another in human resources in higher education. And Dr. Mittal has been very closely associated with our human resources and higher education community of practice. Again, these are forums where we bring together staff and students to formulate events, to also share good practice in these respective areas. And very often the outputs from our networks also feed into our policy and advocacy work. So I've talked briefly about the grants and networks, and now coming to India. So during the pandemic, of course, a lot of activity moved online, and with the support of our Asian regional committees, we said we must try and carry on with international exchange, even in an online format. And we launched something known as the Commonwealth Virtual Exchange Program, where we brought together 50 undergraduate students in a pilot that we conducted last year from 5 countries and from 10 ACU member universities to be part of an 8-week, nearly fully online immersive exchange experience. This particular 8-week program was led on in terms of development by the University of Malaya in Malaysia and the Manipal Academy of Higher Education in India. And we had students from several Indian universities participate, including from OP Jindal, as well as from National Law University of Delhi, as well as from NMIMS in Mumbai, among others. So we hope that this program, which ran over 8 weeks, focused on entrepreneurship and intercultural learning, will be able to continue in the future as well. And we look forward to the support of our members in making that happen. A series of events that we've got coming up next week itself, really, and we've been marketing these and advertising these quite extensively over the past few weeks, is a series of India roundtables. We're starting the week in Bangalore, where Christ University will host our first India roundtable on Monday, the 27th, on the theme of student exchange and mobility. And this will bring together speakers from different parts of the Commonwealth, as well as attendees from India and across the Commonwealth, to come and share their experiences in the area of student exchange and mobility, but also to be able to learn from the experiences of peers in different modes of student exchange in an international context. We then have our second roundtable taking place at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai, which will focus on the theme of equitable and sustainable partnerships, which is a very important area of work for the ACU, and also, I understand, for universities in the room. And again, here we'll have representatives from across India and across the Commonwealth coming together to discuss this important issue, particularly from a research context. That's happening next Wednesday, the 29th of March in Mumbai. And we'll conclude this week of India Roundtables with Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, in an event that is being convened by Professor Balvinder Shukla and team and the ACU on the theme of digitalization and the future of work and skills, which of course is such an important topic from a global, but particularly from an Indian context today, given the vocational direction and the employability focus many of our universities are now taking. So these are some upcoming events for colleagues in the room who have not who are not yet familiar with these. You're still most welcome to send representatives. Bangalore on Bangalore on Monday, I beg your pardon, Mumbai on Wednesday, and then Noida on next Friday. I'll pause here because I know we have certain time constraints, but I just want to say, we work very closely with national university networks in different countries, such as the AIU in India. We are unique because we're a pan-Commonwealth organization and therefore have access to a lot of policy forums and government forums associated with the Commonwealth. And we really want to try and work as collaboratively as we can with our Indian members in embracing various opportunities for staff, for students, for administrators. And I think on a parting note, I just want to say that we're a very small team in India. My colleague Ikita has joined me recently. There's just the two of us with our main office in the UK. But we really welcome ideas and opportunities from universities across the room. And we will certainly want to do our best to support your initiatives in any way that we can. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Aditya. We now go to the apex body with which all the vice chancellors present here constantly negotiate and interact. That is a NAC. And it's my very great pleasure to request my very good friend, Ponmudiraj, to kindly make his submission. Ponmudiraj, please restrict yourself to 5 or 6 minutes, highlighting the new features of the NAC accreditation. Dr. Ponmudiraj.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Honorable President AIU, Professor Suranjan Das, our Secretary General, Professor Dr. Mrs. Pankaj Mithil, my co-panelist, and ladies and gentlemen. And straight, I just want to talk about 5 points on the National Assessment Accreditation Council, which you all may be aware of it. We are in the 28th year of its existence. From 16 September 1994, we have assessed and accredited 16,072 accreditations, 16072, out of which, like your typical boards of studies in academic council, every quarterly, every 3 years, or 5 years, we change our methodology. The recent methodology is called Revised Accreditation Framework, which most of you are aware of it. It is called RAF, launched on July 2017. out of which 4,337 higher education institutions have been accredited. But these are all accreditations. For the last 29 years, if you look at the data, the raw data, the total number of universities out of 2021 IASHA data, 11,113, 425 universities are assessed and accredited. And out of the number, 9,185 colleges are accredited. Now, the work at large, we're expecting institutions to come forward. We are also doing hand-holding. This is point number 1 about the general statistics of NAAC assessment accreditation. Point number 2, which I wanted to just submit before you all, is the methodology. The recent methodology of assessment accreditation, we call it revised accreditation framework. It is scalable, transparent, and open. Very, very important. 75% of it is data-driven. Completely, the entire process is ICT-driven. We have 9 manuals for universities, 9 manuals. The general universities, the traditional conventional universities, comes under the general university manual. We have a separate manual for open universities. We have a separate manual for dual mode universities and for Sanskrit universities and Sanskrit dual mode universities and health science universities, super specialty, including specialty health science universities. We have for yoga universities a separate manual, and for legal universities, we have a separate manual. Recently, the executive committee has come out with a recent manual for social sciences, humanities and social sciences with specifics to dance, music, and folklore, and some of the important special studies for universities. So there are basically 9 different categories of manuals. This is my second point, which I wanted to drive about the methodologies, and especially the different types of manuals, because normally people say we are a super specialty university. We are completely a different focus of university. To capture that, we have come about with that recent manual, which we call highly specialized. Now we have rechristened that as social sciences and humanities manual. Now, my third point, which I want to drive you all to, is very important in the methodology, in the profile. We are completely oriented towards NEP, not the full quantitative and qualitative metrics, but on the profile section, 6 broader headings of the National Education Policy 2020 we have asked. Very important is the Honorable Election Commission of India, based on their inputs, we have requested all the colleges and all the universities. We have asked this question. We have a kind of a metric, a kind of an information sought regarding the electoral literacy clubs, ELC. In all our manuals across, we have been incorporated. My last but one point, which I wanted to drive, is on point number 4, hand-holding. That's not a kind of, we are hand-holding institutions through a different scheme, especially through the scheme of NAAC awareness program, NAP, to all the universities. Though we are not a funding agency, we are tuned to the tune of rupees 1 lakh. We are beginning to universities to help, to guide, to facilitate them regarding the documentation. Since the entire process is online and a third-party data validation verification partner validates as per the standard operating procedure. So this is very, very essential. And the Margadarshan scheme, the universities accredited first cycle, second cycle, third cycle, fourth cycle. People are ready for fifth cycle. Now, fifth cycle HEIs, colleges are coming ready, getting ready for sixth cycle at NAAC. Now, but the institutions to volunteer is large. So the entire process is made easy by reducing the number of metrics, questions of validation from 100, 200, 300 to 115. For colleges, we have only 55, making 130 for open universities, dual mode 140, 154, 163. It's all on the website. We have reduced considerably, including the legal universities, law universities. My last point, which I wanted to drive very closely, is in order to handhold, we have different ways of reaching out to us. We have a help desk, we have a support desk online, 24/7, which we are able to give back, and FMC, feedback monitoring cell, and we have the CCMC, what we call the Centralized Complaints Management Committee, in order to reach out to the stakeholders and make it user-friendly. And NAC is very, very open enough. Now all the benchmarks, systematically 3 benchmarks for all the manuals out of 20 and odd manuals are out. Before March, all the benchmarks are put on the public domain so that the universities know where do they stand, then they can come forward to NAC, including a mock test. So once you apply the data and you can know where do you stand, improve upon and come to NAC. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Punmundiraj, for being very precise and to the point, as you always are. It is a very great pleasure to request our Vice Chancellor colleague from Kathmandu University, Professor Thapa, to make his submission. Professor Thapa, please.
Namaskar, Chairman and Co-Chairman of the session, my fellow panelists, the Vice Chancellors and Delegates. Thank you very much for providing opportunity to talk as an international delegates in this Vice Chancellors Conference. The history of higher education of Nepal is not that old. Especially, and then that also when I talk about the Kathmandu University, which was established after political movement in 1990. The reason why Kathmandu University was established is still true. And then besides providing a regular education, the pressure of internationalization of our activity is giving us, providing us always a new challenge. When we talk about the internationalization, it's both in terms of the global as well as in the regional matters and regional issues. So the traditional mode of academic cooperation and partnership was normally a teacher and faculty exchange, research publications, supervisions, these cooperations in these areas. But the new type of international cooperations are coming up especially in the issues of climate change, ICT and the virtual mode of learnings, the new technologies, as well as the pedagogies. Designing of our context and civilization specific degrees of the academic courses are another challenges for us. Throughout the history in Nepal, India has been the most preferred destination for Nepali students to take education of all types, whether just for literacy or for very professional courses of engineering and medicine. And even now, India continues to be a hub for higher education, not only for Nepal, but for South Asia. The region which I talked like a post-1990, when only from Tribhuvan University, then when the Kathmandu University was established by the government of Nepal, was most of the youths were going out of the country for the education. And that's true even now. All those students who are passing a +2 or 12 year of examinations and ready to go for the higher education, we have a very alarming number. Almost 50% of the eligible students are going abroad for higher education. That's really challenging. But the record, or at least the data of Kathmandu University for the internationalization in the 30 years is still satisfactory. We have graduated 40,000 students, and out of that, almost 13% are foreign students. And I'm also really glad and proud to share with you, even if India used to be our destination for our education. Even myself, I have got my first and second degree from India. We have graduated almost 4,294 Indian students from Nepal, from Kathmandu University. And that's, I things that gives a little bit of a satisfaction for us. We are collaborating with almost 250 universities all around the world, and among that, India is the highest number. We have a formal cooperation and active cooperation with 39 Indian universities. The new horizon of cooperation are continuously being explored in Kathmandu University. Kathmandu University is an associate member of Association of Indian Universities from 1996. Since the last year, Kathmandu University and IIT Madras have started a joint degree master's program in energy systems. I presume this is the first degree for Kathmandu University. I'm not sure what is there in India, but so this will be the first joint degree program between Kathmandu University and IIT Madras. And we were so glad to sign this agreement in presence of the Prime Minister of India and Prime Minister of Nepal when Prime Minister of Modi visited last time in Nepal and in the Lumbini. I feel that the academic institution in this subcontinent have a joint responsibility to develop the courses of our own civilization as well. Especially when I am visiting Assam and Meghalaya. So we are in the foothill of the Himalayas. And there are a lot of responsibilities and opportunities for our society, our civilization, our culture, our language, and so on. We also dared to sign last few months back to initiate one of the program of Kathmandu University in India. We have just signed an agreement with one of the institution in India that if we can run the degree of Kathmandu University in India, the reason is still almost all the youths, they are fleeing out of the country, and then we are trying to explore. Anyway, we cannot stop youths going abroad. But if Nepali academic institutions can also go along with them, either in India or many students who are just going abroad to get the visa in Australia or in the West. So, or many youths in the Middle East, they are going to seek the job. Together with the job, if we can provide the education, that will be the added benefit, added advantage. We are not sure whether the Indian regulations and rules allow the Indian entrepreneur to run the course of Kathmandu University in India, but we are exploring it. And at the same time, because when I am here in this part of the world like where, especially in the Assam, there's a lot of Nepali communities here. If they want to learn about Nepali language and Nepali culture, maybe the Kathmandu University could be the place. And then we can, if we can collaborate and do the partnership with the institutions here, I think that will be the win-win for all of us. So with that, we have been exploring the new way of the international cooperations and collaborations. Kathmandu University welcomes all the new ideas to put forward and then to try. Hopefully, we might be able to do something together in such international collaborations and cooperations. And as I told earlier also, it's not only the global cooperations, regional cooperation seems to be very, very important. And when I was listening to the regulatory bodies, whatever we do together, that will have a sort of a quality assurance for at least at the regional level. But sometimes I feel little bit worried is since you are moving a little faster, because we have learned so many things from AICTE to especially in our technical programs. And then when you are not doing a physical verification or inspection, whereas our system is becoming little rigid by learning from India, especially the very good data of the graduating Indian students in Nepal has a setback because with the Medical Education Commission, that was established after the experience of Medical Council. And now the institutions are in AICTE and maybe other regulatory authorities are moving quite forward. That will also have some impact, and that we might have some lessons. So with this, once again, I would like to request all the delegates here, if there are anything that we can do together with the Kathmandu University and universities at Nepal, we'll always welcome, and then we are very much tempted to work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Thapa. We now move to ICAR. Could I request the ICAR representative, Seema Jaggi, to kindly make a submission? And could I please request her to kindly restrict herself to 5 minutes?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank
So
you.
if you permit, I have a small presentation, sir. Can I share that?
Seema, presentation will take time. If you can speak in 5 minutes, what new has been done
Okay.
by ICAR.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizers for making ICR a part of this very important interactive session. Thank you so much. See, sir, agriculture, I will be just focusing on the agricultural higher education in the country. And you know that this particular agriculture education is a very important component or part of our overall education system. And it helps us to build a strong agricultural workforce. So the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, through we have an agriculture education division. So we are working for maintaining and upgrading the quality and relevance of higher agricultural education by the partnership through the agricultural universities in the country. And the quality assurance of higher agricultural education is given the major thrust through the policy support, accreditation, academic regulation, and so on. We have total, as on today, we have total 74 agricultural universities in the country, and they are from the different domains. We have the crop sciences, we have the veterinary universities, the fishery universities, the horticulture universities, and so on. And all these total universities, 74 universities, are providing the degrees UG, PG, and PhD. We have UG subjects in 12 UG subjects, and then 78 doctoral programs and 79 postdoctoral programs. Now, a very distinguishing feature of our curriculum is that we have a in the 4th year of the UG program, our UG is already of the 4 years, which the National Education Policy is focusing on 4 years UG program. So agriculture education is already a 4 years program. And in that 4th year, we have a separate for the skill development of the students. We have different components. One is our student ready program. Ready is Rural Entrepreneurship Awareness Development Yojana. This was launched by our Prime Minister in the year 2016. And every student has to take up this program for 6 months in the last year. So that is already, but however, we are strengthening this. We have different experiential learning units in all the universities, depending on their specialization. Say for mushroom raising, we have experiential learning. For dairy, we have, so on, we have around 500 experiential learning units in the country. Now, when we talk about the national education policy, sir, some of the components already, the agriculture education, it is already built in. However, we are still having some strategies and some plans to incorporate whatever is mentioned in the national education policy. And the first one is like we are trying to introduce some vocational courses, the certificate courses. Already we are working on it. There's a Dean's Committee which has been set up, and they are working on this certificate course for 1 year, diploma course or for 2 years, and so on. And then with respect to the master's program also, we are trying to introduce some type of like internship programs which we were not having earlier, and the skill development programs for the master's program as well. And as far as the implementation strategy, sir, we have already developed a framework with the timeline, by what time we'll be adhering to different guidelines which we have prepared and we have circulated to all the agricultural universities. And we have set up a target that by this year or next year onwards, we will have that multiple exit entry policy, whatever is there for the based on the national education policy. And maybe in another 5 years, we are trying to make the universities multidisciplinary. And also we are coming up with the concept of some mega universities. We are starting with a main university. We have a deemed university, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, located in New Delhi. Now we are coming up with a mega universities, all the institutes which are spread across the country on different aspects they are working. We are combining them and we will be sending the students there also, so that the benefit of their expertise can be utilized by the students. So that is one concept. And from this year only, we are starting the admission for these mega universities. And then we have another is in order to improve in the gross enrollment ratio. Let me tell you, sir, like total agriculture universities constitute 9% of the total universities. However, the enrollment is only 1% of in agriculture. So in order to increase that enrollment ratio, again, we are going for 10% every year increase. And then we are introducing the vocational courses so that more number of students come for the agricultural education. And then in order to bring resilience in agriculture education system, that is to, we have many, like COVID-19 has brought a lot of changes in our system. So in order to incorporate that, we have introduced a resilient agriculture in education system. We are working on it, and it's a type of blended learning in which we have both the classroom teaching as well as the online teaching. So we are working on it. And we are, again, based on the national education policy, we are revising, we are modifying our course curriculum for both UG, PG and PhD level that we are doing. And as far as the career opportunities, the students which are passed out, the agriculture, BSc agriculture is already declared as a professional degree. So from the council side. So the students have a lot of opportunities as well as per their career is concerned. So they can go to different agricultural, rural banks and to many of the other avenues which they have. Then as far as the examination is concerned, sir, again, national education policy says that we have to reduce the burden of the students by appearing in number of examinations. So what from this year onwards, earlier we were having our own separate exams. From this year onwards, we are joining with CUET for our UG entrance examination. Already it has been communicated to NTA and we are joining with them. So the students who will be appearing in that, they can come to the agriculture education as well. And for quality assurance, we have a National Agricultural Education Accreditation Board, through which we give the accreditation. However, again, make it a single body. We'll be joining with the NAC maybe from the next year onwards for the accreditation purpose. And we have already developed one model act for bringing uniformity in all the agricultural universities, and all the universities have to follow that model act. It is with respect to the course curriculum and other guidelines.
Seema, can you conclude? We will then move on to
just last point, madam. For the overall holistic development of the student, we have already signed an MOU with the Heartfulness Education Trust, where the students will be given different programs for skills, life skills, wellness, and the meditation, yoga, leadership, and so on. So this is an effort which recently we have started. And as far as the way forward, just 1 or 2 points for the way forward. We have the plan to set up incubation centers in all the university. We have in some of the universities, but we want to set up the incubation centers in all the universities, the agri-tourism parks, the agri-startups. Then we would like to have the exposure visits of students of general universities to the agriculture universities. We are mainstreaming the agricultural curriculum in the schools as well, and then mainstreaming the private universities in the agriculture. And we are also supporting the international fellowships. We do provide the international fellowships for pursuing higher education. Students from India can go abroad, same way students from abroad, they can come to India. Financial support is being provided by the council. And there are many other fellowships like BIMSTEC, ASEAN and Indo-Africa, Indo-Afghanistan, which the council is supporting. And recently, just in these 3 days, we are already we are having a conference going on blended learning in agricultural education, which is just today it will be concluding. And a lot of discussions are being taken up in that particular conference. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Seema. Thank you.
We have some time left for interactions. Could I request Dr. Pankaj Mittal to coordinate the discussion?
I'll request the volunteers, if somebody wants to ask any question from any of the regulatory bodies, you can just raise your hands. Volunteers, please hand over the mics to them.
Good afternoon to all of you. I'm Professor C.S. Dubey. I'm Vice Chancellor in K.R. Mangalam University, Gurgaon. My question is a very simple one. We are giving guidelines and guidelines and guidelines in all these spheres. We are guiding the teachers who are not doing any kind of engagements, And if you go worldwide, the process of engagement needs 35% engagement of the students through by critical thinking of the faculty, which we are losing by this. And the type of guidelines being given to us are, they are sometimes quite conflicting. For example, take an example of, you say professor of practice. And then with the professor of practice, you say, no, you have to have all of them PhDs. 80% of PhD in NAC, you will get 40 out of 40. So there are conflicts. My suggestion is that we should focus more on engagement of the students with faculty and faculty's critical thinking and talent of the faculty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So this was a suggestion, not a question. So anybody, any suggestion or question, but it has to be brief because there are many hands raised.
Hello. Hey, madam. Hello.
Yes.
A very good afternoon to all the dignitaries on the dais and dignitaries of the dais. My name is Dr. Bindesh Patel. I am from PP Sawan University, Surat, Gujarat. Madam, my question, sir, and madam, my question is, we have a very different systems for ranking, NIRF, accreditation, everything. One of the important factor which affects the quality of the university is the time, because some of the universities are new, they have very less time of establishment and everything, and some are very old and renowned university. So can we have any system or something where we can bifurcate according to the duration, like a 5 or 10 years of establishment, more than that, so that because the purpose of the ranking and accreditation is that to motivate and to have a healthy competition. So if the new universities or a 5 or 10 year old university have a competition,
So you're
same
saying
kind of
different norms for different types of universities.
yes, so
for
that
NAC
can
accreditation.
also healthy competition, and the new universities which are good can also be motivated and get compared with the same level of their competitors.
Okay, thank you. We'll take up all the questions together, and in the end, we will give some time to each of the speaker to respond.
I'm Dr. Puttraju, Mandya University, Karnataka. My question is, a lot many interactions are happening throughout the country, but the budgeting for the last 15, 20 years is only 3.1% or 3.2% of the GDP. If there is any component added to this more, maybe 4.5% or 6%, I think the budgeted provisions will assist in bringing all these.
So that is what all the commissions, right from Kothari Commission to NEP, have been recommending 6%.
Yeah.
But let us see how
It
much.
should have been 10% actually. It could be 3 or 6% better. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Rajkumar.
All right. Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask one, is there any possibility that we'll stop using the word inspection for visiting institutions? Because the word inspection has such a pejorative approach towards engaging with universities. And so long as we use those terminologies, you are inevitably going to create opportunities for corruption and other forms of, lack of internal integrity standards. So NAC actually doesn't use that word any longer most of the time, but this word inspection, which regulatory bodies have used in India, creates a very different type of pejorativeness and disincentives for people to maintain integrity.
This is targeted to AICT, but he will, Professor Ranbir Singh, sir, please.
Yeah, Dr. Mittal, I do not want to ask a question here. Dr. Bharadwaj. This Dr. Bharadwaj, Vice Chancellor of Noida International University. First of all, I want to clear you. I do not want to ask a question. I want to give suggestion. When we talk about the National Education Policy 2020, and when we talk about the SRAs, many of the fellow vice chancellors, though, have just spoken. They have spoken it so correctly that they are not getting aligned. When we talk about the higher education, no government policies are getting aligned to it. As NEP is talking about the multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary culture, but if any position is advertised by any government bodies, they specify that this should be the requirement. We really need to align. If we talk about NEP 2020 INC, we cannot do anything because the SRA do not accept any of the guidelines to be followed by NEP. If I talk about the NMC, as I'm from the medical university, NMC, no, we cannot do anything as per the NEP 2020. So the government has to really rethink about all those things and look for a proper implementation of the policies across. And he has very well said, as per the new guidelines of the NAC in SRA, you have given 40 marks if you have 80% of your faculty are PhD. Whereas your UGC chairman talks about that we can include, the professor of practice and the PhD is not allowed. There's no mandate now to publish the research paper for the PhD students. I really do not understand how the higher education is going to progress if the policies are not getting aligned with each other.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Professor G. Damodar, Vice Chancellor of Chaitanya Deemed to be University, Warangal, Telangana. I have one question and two suggestions. So my question is, the impact of ChatGPT and artificial intelligence cannot be ignored now. Will our proposed digital university address this issue? If so, how? My two suggestions, now look culture dominates book culture. Open book examination system forces the students to attend the classes with textbooks, and it will be more challenging than memory-based examination. The system should be supplemented by online resources to as extensive reading and consultation. The exit policy for institutions and teachers is to be devised to improve quality in education. Quality is more important than quantity. 50% GR, gross enrollment ratio in higher education institution need not be our main motto. As NEP envisages, skilling our students in high school education should be our main priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Ranbir Singh and then Professor Thiru.
Chair, I heard the presentation of Madam Jaggi, ICAR. I'm slightly worried. Now, she said that they are going to come on a model act for the agriculture universities. What happens to the flexibility in syllabus to the universities? And what about university autonomy? See, the nature of every university is different. Agriculture university in Punjab caters to a different kind of category. In Kerala is different. In Karnataka it is different. So this uniform act will ultimately ruin the autonomy of the universities and also the flexibility in the syllabus. Same is happening to IITs, IIMs, and even center universities, Probably the policymakers have absolutely no idea what university autonomy is, what is flexibility. If you say the best of universities abroad, they thrive on academic flexibility, administrative flexibility, financial flexibility. And if they bring it under one umbrella, it is an absolutely derogatory step.
Yes. Professor Thiru.
First of all, I am the Pro-Chancellor of Ahmed University, Chennai. My question is to the Vice Chairman of AICTE, Dr. Abhay. First of all, accept our congratulations. Recently, you have assumed charge of the Vice Chancellor, Vice Chairman. We are highly satisfied about and happy as well, as far as the process we have started and you have been continuing for giving course approval. Very transparent as well. At the same time, there are few things I find some discrepancies between UGC and AICTE. See the faculty student ratio, because there are universities like us. we come under both the UGC and AICTE because we have professional program and arts and science program. The faculty student ratio between UGC and AICTE is different. So as said by my colleague, Dr. Rajakumar, if you come for inspection or online, we don't know how we have to satisfy. That's number one. The same case with the giving CIS promotion from assistant professor to associate professor as well. For an example, UGC is very particular about the candidate should produce at least one PhD, but AICTE is somewhat liberal. But when it goes to NAC, they ask many questions like that. Why not? Because we talk about national education policy. So there must be some sorts of, integrated and marking and eligibility as well. That is one question, sir. Another question, sir. Now we apply for NBA accreditation. NBA is most important one from the point of view of UGC and as well asking for new courses, increasing of strength also. In the NBA, you insist, lot of liberalization brought out. Even now to insist, there must be 60% of students out of the sanctioned strength. We are not asking any exemption for the previous periods or coming periods. We suffered during Corona, COVID-19, that also included in the 3 years period. Why not you relax? For certain courses, it is possible. Certain unique and specialized courses, we found it difficult to get 60% admission as well. For a kind information, yesterday you started the process. Now, please take this request to your concerned body. See that there must be some relaxation of minimum eligibility of student strength to decide about eligibility to apply for NBA, sir. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, this is Dr. Sridhar from Hindustan University, Chennai. Question to AICTE. Basically, when we apply for NBA as well as for NIRF also in the ranking. Can I continue, sir? This is Dr. Sridhar from Hindustan University, Chennai. Basically, when we look for NBA, as already my counterpart already mentioned, few of the private state universities will actually quote only the management, the board of management, the admission quota. For example, let me say, all other institutions which come under AICTE will have to show the AICTE intake only. So the problem with us is, for example, 60 is the intake which I have taken for mechanical. And when it comes to the actual admission during Corona period, it goes to only 30. And I can't surrender those seats immediately when I'm not able to, fill it up. Because of that, we are losing in NIRF. We are also losing in NBA. That's one part. The second question basically is now we are open for the international university to enter into India. And who is actually having statutory control over these universities, and who will actually control the, the delivery methodology or the resources, and also what is the fees that you are going to insist. Usually the private universities are insisted on what should be the limited fees, etc., and so on. So how do you actually have some sort of control on these universities as such? Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you. One more question, because now we are running out of time. The panelists have to respond also. Professor Sitaram Rao and Dr. S.P. Singh, that Dr. Vaidya Subramaniam, three.
Thank you very
three
much,
we will
madam.
Stop.
Okay, in the interest of time,
Thanks
my
for the
question is
opportunity.
going to be just 30 seconds. Everybody is mindful of the fact that over 70% of the education is provided by private higher education institutions, while the representation of private higher education institutions in the apex body is very marginal. So there needs to be a considerable proportionate representation that reflects the participation of private higher education institutions in the higher education ecosystem. So that's my question. Will that be a reality?
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, madam, for giving me this opportunity. So mine is not question, not suggestion. I seek clarification from speaker from ICAR. This discussion has come in Coimbatore also. Is there any possibility of open universities to have collaboration with ICAR to implement the vocational courses related to agriculture? That is one. And also I wanted to seek clarification from Aditya Malikana about the what is the role of ACU in facilitating the collaboration with open universities of other countries, especially UK Open University. Can you facilitate us to have a collaboration to make study related to learner support services and functioning of virtual labs introduced by the UK Open University?
Good afternoon. Doctor. Hello,
Professor
ma'am.
SP Singh, yes.
Yes, ma'am, just one request, because thanks to the AICT, Kathmandu University, AIU sitting here, but we are missing UGC badly. So UGC, my humble request is, because we all are associated firstly with UGC and then to AICT and other institution. So ma'am, let us have some kind of pressure so that at least UGC representative come to national conference of the vice chancellors. We are their babies and they are not here. So my humble request, that's number one. And if they do not come, let us, we go there in UGC and we request them and force them to come for this kind of conferences, because they are required. Why I'm telling you this question is with the AICT and UGC both. We in India have a greater scarcity because we are proliferating and growing very fast. We do not have associate professors, and professors, as many advertisements we give, we do not get them. If we get such a quality, I would say that's better to close the institution than to appoint them. So in that context, when we comes to the 12B or maybe any kind of inspections, I think there should be a flexibility without any thinking that if we have a senior assistant professor, that should be considered as an associate professor, unless and until, otherwise what we'll do, we'll keep on unnecessarily trying to make everybody associate professor, and we will be having a very difficult situation in due course of time. This is a great thing, which is something happening very wrong in the system.
I'm Dr. Bhardwaj from Sikkim Professional University. Madam, I would like to speak on agriculture as well as make some general comments. I come from Agriculture University, GB Pant University, and my guru was from Jadavpur University, where I know in olden times there was no NAC, there was no regulatory body, and there were teachers and professors who will teach to the highest standard. With the PPT system coming in, the teacher doesn't have to read, doesn't have to understand, doesn't have to be having an inner knowledge. So we are going for digitization, losing the ability of the person, absolutely. As far as the agriculture universities are concerned, after privatization, now you have 700 private universities and only 400 government universities. And unfortunately, in the private universities, you are having non-academicians as the vice chancellor. Somebody is a general, somebody is a lawyer, or somebody is something. That's a disaster as far as higher education is concerned. Neither the AIU nor the UGC is doing anything about it. And there are problems coming up with the nation. If the highest person is not qualified to run a university, how do you expect it to be run at all? No. Agriculture University 74, 1100 universities. Agriculture University Pantnagar has 800 acres of campus. Which private university will have 100 acres of campus, or where the students are given plots of half an acre? So the agriculture education in the country must be very, very cautious, because it builds the nation. This has to be taken care. It cannot go the way the AICT has gone. Now the engineering college in Karnataka, the engineering college in Maharashtra have collapsed and closed down. The Inspector Raj is over because the government of India decided not to send the team and the regulatory bodies because there is a corruption involved. Now it is online. The UGC is online. The AICT is online. Let it be the way of life. This, again, we are going to have these kinds of problems. I would request, think about Jadavpur University, think about JNU, think about BHE, where from people have come, professors have come who teach extempore. They don't need a PPT, and when they teach, it makes the difference. So let us not do it that way. Let the country not go to docks. We talk of unemployment. Why people are unemployed? Your NAC wants all faculty to be PhD. I know how PhDs are earned. You give the money, you get a PhD. Some universities in India have 14,000 PhD registered, and UGC has done nothing about it. Even fraud universities are sold. I'm sorry, USTM is very good, but most of the Northeast University of India are selling degrees. Thank you.
Can you answer simple, Pankaj? Simple. I am Professor Sujata, representing here ILM University, Gurugram. I have a simple question. Vice Chairman, AICT has suggested inviting application for the new university, new colleges and university. What are the parameters to judge the existing one which are giving mass production as a factory, those who are not employable? The second part, the same concern which our fellow colleagues already used, the NAC or NBA, whatever system, regulatory system we have for accreditation, on what basis certain guidelines we have, but still we are not getting a right kind of faculty to teach in our universities. They are not capable, even PhD, and they are not capable to teach. This is the major concern for appointing a good resource to teach in our university. These are two.
Thank you. So now we will transfer. to
Madam,
the
one
side.
question.
Now, because we are running very, very late, you can discuss offline.
One question, please.
Offline, can you discuss during the lunchtime? You can talk to them.
Madam, one question.
On,
Yes. Madam, only one question.
because then we will not be able to finish. We have to start the next session also. You can discuss offline, please. Let them respond.
Okay.
No, only one
Appreciate it.
observation,
Appreciate
suggestion.
it.
I have only one second suggestion, madam, because there are more controversial issues between NAC, UGC and AICT as to how AIU can take a decision in collaborating. And because Vivek was telling this morning that there has to be an increase in gross enrollment ratio. Now, if we do not allow either state public universities or private universities to have their own regulations, I think it's difficult as to how AIU would be able to take a decision on this. I am Professor BP Veerabhadrappa from Kuvempu University, Karnataka. Thank you very much.
I think expectations from AIU are increasing like anything. We
Madam,
cannot be
my question is very important, madam. Please listen. Actually, in the last meeting, when we are doing the online meeting with you, I have put the question that only A grade accredited universities may open the distance learning program. But on the other hand, we have the objective to raise GER 50% by 2035. So how it is possible if you have the restrictions that only A-graded, NAC A-graded institutions may open the distance learning program. And in Bihar, I can give the example, like Patna University had the distance learning program, Magad University, and so many universities. All the universities have closed their distance learning, distance education program. So we should think on this, because this is very important issue. Actually, we want to raise 50% GER by 2035. Then the university should be liberalized regarding opening the distance learning program. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Madam, may I also ask a question, a simple question, but I will take only 1 minute. I am also from the open and distance learning, Sanjay Tiwari from Madhya Pradesh Bhojan Open University. I want to bring to the notice of the discrepancy in the approval process of UGC and AICT. Yesterday, AICT has opened their portal and they are allowing travel and tourism, logistics, other programs on the ODL mode, open distance mode, where UGC has restricted several programs, travel and tourism, logistics, they are not allowed by the UGC. They have stopped agriculture, pharmacy, nursing, all programs, we cannot start. Even they are not clear on the PhD program also. UGC said, you can start, but we will not give you permission. And even UGC has put a restriction that without NAC, UGC will not give approval to the open and distance programming from this year onwards. So I'm asking, is several programs are allowed by AICT and the open distance learning?
What we will do is that the suggestions which are coming for UGC, we will write to UGC because UGC representative is not here. They cannot be answering. So we will be, whatever observations have come with regard to UGC, we will be giving it to them and then taking a reply and then sending it to all of you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pankaj. I think majority of the questions were for UGC. So majority of the questions were for UGC, and as you rightly said, you should compile them and share. But the questions which were for AICT, I will actually take them. So Jindal University actually spoke about inspection, we never use the word inspection. We use expert visit committees and so on and so forth. The reason while talking, I used the word inspection was because it was easy to communicate, because we can name it anyway, but actually what happens, But what we wanted to convey through that is that now we are going to do everything online. And everything is getting recorded. So nobody can deny, or either on the side of the institutions or on the side of government. There will be complete transparency. I certainly understand that there are a lot of lacunae, and we certainly need to improve. There is no doubt about it. But we are also listening to stakeholders. We are improving the process. And if you see our last 5, and I'm talking for last 5-6 years, our approval handbooks, the way we have evolved the processes and the way we have, and actually he is the judge for that. And sir, you actually said that. We are trying to make things extremely transparent, and we want to make things liberal. But I also have a question on the other side. When we make things too liberal, it gives opportunity for the institutions to easily game the system. Nobody is talking about how institutions games the system. When UGC went ahead and actually talked about PhDs and making PhDs mandatory, people started producing their own journals. That was never envisaged by UGC. So certainly we, as regulatory institutions, need to improve, but there has to be some inward-looking thinking also. You also need to ask yourselves quite tough questions. Are we gaming the system? For example, I was doing ARIA ranking, and we were actually asking universities that give the names of startups which you are incubating. Okay? Universities giving me names of startups like Salwar exhibition, ye kya startup ho sakta hai? Homemade chocolate, ye kya startup ho sakta hai? Yoga classes. So it's not that, and then what happens, it's a cat and mouse game which starts. So what we would also like to say, and regarding the CAS system and those kind of things which he has raised, already UGC and AICT have a joint committee now to look at, and Vaidyanathan ji, Professor Vaidyanathan is part of that committee. He can elaborate, you can talk to him in the during the break. And there is a unified, about 3 days back, I actually made the presentation about anomalies which were there or which are there currently in the system. So please believe the intention currently at regulatory bodies is right. The heart is in the right place. We are trying to move forward in the right direction. Suggestions from you are extremely taken seriously. But just give us some time, and we assure you in next 1 or 2 years, you will have a much better system than what it is currently prevailing. So that's where I will end.
Thank you. And from NAC and ICAR, there were some questions relating to NAC and ICAR. Would they like to respond?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. There were couple of questions regarding the what you call the differences or contradictions between the guidelines. They spoke about AICT, UGC, NBA, and NAC. But I wanted to clarify that we don't look at the eligibility, minimum eligibility criteria to operate. We look at quality in assessment accreditation, little higher level. When you talk about professors of practice, when you talk about MPhil, PhDs, postdoc, BSc, DLET, whatever the nomenclature, this is one point which I wanted to clarify. There is no contradiction. When somebody asks about 1:20 ratio, we ask in a little higher level. Higher level means the ratio could be 1:10, 1:5. So because for quality purposes, we don't look into the minimum eligibility criteria of approval or recognition processes. This is one particular point. Thanks to Professor Rajkumar O.P. Zindal regarding, we always use the word peer team, one with you. We don't categorically on the assessors portal and the assessors interaction. The collegium of assessors we categorically tell them they are one with you whenever you go on a visit, on a site visit. This is my second point. On the third point, there was a clarification regarding hand-holding, especially from Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Special Cell, Jammu and Kashmir, Northeast. We handhold regarding that is about dual board universities and minimum eligibility criteria to operate online and open ODL programs. That we are trying to handhold them to the maximum extent. These are the few things. Only one request which we are facing at our level during acceptance of IAQA. Some of the universities offer some courses which are not in the UGC recognized Section 22 enlisted programs. So this we are repeatedly requesting the universities. If there are new programs, please write to UGC and try to include amended the amendments of the nomenclature. For example, Bachelor of Chemical Technology, different nomenclatures, different universities use, including state universities. So this we are finding difficult in our approval process. So please try to, we request you to write, the universities to write to UGC. Otherwise, the nomenclature has to be little changed, either BTech in cosmetic technology or BSc in cosmetic technology. Just an example I gave you. That's it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Seema.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to react on the point made that regarding the Model Act. See, the Model Act which the Council has developed is not new. It was developed way back in 1966, and over the years we have been revising it, incorporating new things. And this particular document, the Model Act, is a guiding document, just a guiding document for establishment and functioning and uniformity for the agricultural universities. And in this, we do provide the flexibility. If we talk about the course curriculum, there is a flexibility depending on the region-specific university. They can alter, they can add 20% of the flexibility is there to revise their course curriculum as per the need of that particular region. So this flexibility is there. And the second point was on for vocational courses. In the way forward also, I have told that we are mainstreaming, we are trying to mainstream the private universities in agriculture, and provided they meet the minimum requirements which are there. Like one of our delegates, he said that for agriculture, there is a minimum requirement with respect to the land and all that. So that is a prerequisite and that has to be followed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Seema. Before thanking all the experts, one thing I want to announce here, like what we are doing is, like India is hosting G20 presidency. And we felt that when we talk of education, E20, there are representatives coming from the government side and ministers, but there is no representation of the vice chancellors. So we requested the Ministry of Education that we should be holding one Uni 20. Uni 20 means universities 20, because we want that vice chancellors of these G20 countries should be interacting with the vice chancellors of our country. The ministry has agreed as a side event of the E20, which is happening in June in Pune, where the education ministers of G20 countries are coming. So from 19th to 21st of June, we'll be holding Uni 20 event at Symbiosis University, Pune. And this will be followed by, we are waiting for how many of the foreign dignitaries are coming here. This can be followed by a 3 to 4 days visit to various prestigious universities of India by these G20 delegates, so that they can know that India is progressing very fast. So we want to showcase our higher education system also. And ultimately there will be a culminating event at most probably at Jindal University in Sonipat or in Delhi NCR region. So my request to all of you is that when we are holding this event, do come for that event. That is from 19th to 21st of June in Pune at Symbiosis University. And if you want that your university should be visited by G20 delegation, which will be coming for the Uni 20 event, please send a request to AIU so that we can plan it. It cannot be that every university can be visited. We have to form 3-4 sectors. Within those sectors, the visits will be there. And then also attend the culmination event at Delhi or maybe Sonipat. That we will decide. So thank you very much. And thanks to all the panelists. Thanks to all the vice chancellors for very, very active participation. And thanks a lot. Over to Rama. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we have come to the end of the interaction session with heads of apex bodies and international delegates. It was indeed a good interaction. Of course, time was too less, so many of you might not have got chance to put your question or suggestions. We have provided recommendation sheets to you. You may fill and give it to Professor Lashkar, who is sitting there on the dais, as and when you get time. So that within these 2-3 days also we can interact, or maybe after going back to Delhi, we'll provide you the solutions after interacting with the respective bodies. And on behalf of USTM and AIU, I thank Honorable Professor Suranjan Das for chairing this session. I thank Madam Pankaj Mittal for convening this session. I thank especially to Professor Dr. Abhay Jere to spare his valuable time and come here to grace physically. I'm thankful to Professor Ponmudi Raj and Seema Jaggi to join us online. And I'm thankful to Professor Bhola Thapa and Aditya Malkani to provide international perspective. I'm thankful to one and all who made this session interactive. I have an announcement to make. There is a lunch arranged just opposite this building, and there is this USTM has arranged a special session of felicitation to spouses. So I request all of you to join for lunch along with your spouses and come back sharply at 3 o'clock for the next session. Yes, ma'am. So there is a special arrangement though for those who are fasting. We have fruits and all, so one may take it in the pandal. Okay, Navratri special counter is there. Oh,
Yes, sir. Surely, sir. How are you? Fine, thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir, I met you the first time. So, we would like to invite you on 15th, 16th May in Zero in Arunachal Pradesh. We have a big conference. Okay. There's direct flight from Zero to from Guwahati.